Admiral Moore. His voice cut through the kitchen like a sharp blade through soft bread. The room went completely still. My sister Lisa froze mid-sentence. Her mouth parted just enough to look foolish. My mother's hand hovered in the air, a slice of pepperoni slipping from her tongs. My father blinked twice, then stared at me like he was seeing a ghost. And me? I was still holding a crumpled napkin. The same napkin I just picked up from under the table after Lisa loudly told me, "Hey, Liv, can you make yourself useful?" Until 5 seconds ago, I was invisible. At our family pizza night, I was always the extra chair, the afterthought, the one people assumed still worked at some hospital doing God knows what. They didn't know I once commanded 4,200 sailors. They didn't know I'd stood in classified rooms under the Pentagon, drafting strategy that's now taught at war colleges. They didn't know, because I never told them. But someone else just did. And the look on Lisa's face? Worth every humiliation. 10 years, that's how long I've been silent. Not because I was weak, no. I've stared down enemy fire, flown on extraction missions, and led covert negotiations across borders. I've commanded operations that were never meant to exist. But silence was the hardest battlefield. In my family, no one cared what I had done. They cared how it made them look. I was the oldest of 3, the serious one, the one who didn't wear makeup until college, the one who always chose quiet over attention. And in a family obsessed with appearances, that made me a shadow. Lisa was the sun, homecoming queen, valedictorian, now a military nurse with perfect social media angles and a steady drip of humble brags. Our parents loved her for how well she performed the role they wrote for her. My brother Eric, the youngest, was the comic relief, a failed musician who somehow remained the golden boy. I was a question mark, an afterthought, a wrinkle in their polished life. At 18, I joined the Navy, not to run away, to build something on my own terms. My father didn't attend my graduation from boot camp. My mother sent a card. "We're proud of you, though we wish you'd finish college first." That was the last time they acknowledged my service for 5 years. Over time, I stopped telling them where I was stationed. I stopped correcting them when they said I was in admin or assisting in some warehouse. They didn't want to understand. They wanted a version of me that fit their story. But behind that silence, I trained at Quantico. I strategized anti-piracy operations in the Gulf. I commanded Ghostwind, a covert naval unit designed to execute untraceable extractions. I was promoted to Rear Admiral at 34. I had access to intel only 3 civilians in the country knew existed. But to them? Liv, she folds towels at the VA or something, I'm not sure. Yeah, there was one Thanksgiving. I remember this one because it was the first time I came home in full uniform. I thought maybe, just maybe, they'd acknowledge the medals, the insignia, the years I'd given. Lisa opened the door, looked me up and down and said, "Really? You're wearing that to dinner? This isn't a parade." Inside, I was seated between the coat rack and the guest bathroom. When my dad gave the toast, he said, "We're lucky to have Lisa, home from the front lines of care, keeping our boys in uniform alive." Then he added, "And Liv, still doing her thing, wherever that is. Logistics, janitorial." Everyone laughed, even Eric. No one noticed me slip my fork down, but I noticed how Lisa smirked at me. There was another time, Grandma Jean's funeral. She raised me more than my own mother did. I arrived early, wanting to help with arrangements. Lisa had already taken over everything. "Just sit somewhere in the back," she told me. "We've got it." During the service, Lisa delivered a eulogy that borrowed my own words from the letter I'd sent Grandma months before she died. Word for word, no credit. Afterwards, our mother came over, hugged Lisa, and whispered, "You always had the gift of words, unlike some people." I wanted to leave. I didn't, because Grandma Jean would have wanted me to stay. I stayed even when Eric's wedding came, and my invitation had the wrong last name. I stayed when they seated me with the cousins' kids. I stayed when Lisa's date, a mid-ranking officer, asked me, "So you're the nurse's sister? Are you in school too?" I smiled and said nothing, because silence was a tactic. And unlike my family, I understood tactics. I knew Lisa had always been jealous. When I made my first promotion, she asked me to keep it low-key. Said she didn't want people to feel bad comparing us. I knew she'd gone through my classified documents. I never told anyone, but 2 years ago I saw a log entry. My secure file had been accessed through a shared military drive by someone on Lisa's base. I traced the credential back. It wasn't hard. It had her name on it. She used my own file to get herself promoted, quoted my command reports as part of her research initiative, claimed strategies I'd written, even took credit for a humanitarian op I risked my life leading in the Arctic. And I said nothing, because sometimes the most powerful weapon is timing. I waited. I let them believe I was shrinking while they grew. But in silence, I was collecting, watching, preparing. Not for revenge, for precision. Tonight, something felt different. Lisa had invited me to pizza night. The way she phrased the text was odd. "Hope you can come, it's just family, no need to dress up." No need to dress up, that told me everything. She expected me to stay invisible. What she didn't know? I never stopped being ghost wind. And some missions go deeper than the battlefield. The text came on a Wednesday. Lisa never texted me on Wednesdays. "Pizza night at Mom and Dad's this Friday, just us. Hope you can make it. Don't dress formal." That last line did something to me. Don't dress formal. She didn't need to say it, and yet she did. That little emoji at the end made it worse, like she knew how to slap and smile in the same breath. I stared at the screen for a long time, then set the phone face down. For most people, pizza night meant nostalgia, warmth, board games, bad jokes. For me, it was a long table of sideways glances and tiny cuts disguised as playful teasing. I hadn't been to one in over a year. The last time I came, Lisa told her new boyfriend that I used to do something in housekeeping support for the VA. He responded with, logistics then. And Lisa laughed. "No, literally, laundry and cleanup, I think." My mother didn't correct her. Neither did my father. And I didn't either. But this time felt different. I didn't know if it was the way Lisa worded her invite, or the fact that it came out of nowhere, or maybe it was because I knew who she'd be bringing. Lisa had been dating someone new. I'd overheard it from a colleague back at the base who still remembered my name. "She's seeing a lieutenant colonel now, right? Keller? He's moving into operations command." Keller. That name hit me in the chest. Nathaniel Keller. I'd mentored him, trained him, signed off on his provisional deployment 5 years ago. He didn't know I was Liv, Olivia Moore, the woman Lisa spent years reducing into a silent backdrop. I opened my closet, looked past the dress whites, past the framed citations. I picked a plain navy blue sweater, soft, simple. And then, from the drawer at the very back, I pulled out one thing, a silver ring engraved on the inside. Ghost wind endures. No one at that dinner table would recognize it, but Nathaniel Keller would. As I slid it onto my finger, I felt something I hadn't in years. Not pride, not vengeance. Clarity. This wasn't about proving anything. It was about letting truth walk into a room and watching what it does to liars. I reached for my water glass, empty. No pitcher on my side of the table. Everyone else had refills. Lisa caught my glance. "Oh, we didn't know if you were still coming. Figured you'd just grab something later." Keller leaned forward slightly, as if to say something, but Lisa nudged his leg under the table. I saw it. I took a sip of melted ice, nodded, and said, "Don't worry, I've had worse dinners." "Oh, I'm sure," Lisa said. "You've probably eaten in, what, military cafeterias? With the trays and powdered eggs?" Eric snorted. "Wasn't she on a ship or something for a while, like stuck in one of those floating tin cans?" My mother added, "She did some sort of janitorial assignment in Guam, I think. Remember when she sent us that postcard with no return address?" "That's because she wasn't allowed to," Lisa said. "She told me it was classified, but come on, probably just mopping floors near the radar room." Another burst of laughter. Keller set down his fork. "You said she worked in logistics." Lisa blinked. "Right, medical logistics. She did a lot of paperwork, I think." He looked at me again, more focused now. I didn't smile. I didn't blink. I let the silence breathe. Then came the pizza game, something Lisa invented years ago. Tell your topping truth. Everyone had to go around and reveal a secret related to their pizza choice. Eric. Mushrooms mean I once made out with my ex in a haunted graveyard. Lisa. Pineapple means I kissed my TA to boost my nursing grade. They skipped me. Lisa waved it off. Olivia doesn't do secrets. She just disappears for 10 years and then shows up with a new haircut. Keller said, You didn't serve with her? Lisa laughed. Oh God, no, we're in totally different leagues. I'm with patient care. She's, more civilian adjacent. I kept my voice calm. Interesting, because last I checked, Ghost Wind wasn't civilian anything. The fork dropped. Only Keller reacted. He sat up straighter, his eyes narrowed slightly. I'm sorry, did you say Ghost Wind? Lisa turned to me sharply. What's that? I shrugged, reaching for the lukewarm pizza. Just a thing I used to be part of, before I got into towel folding. Eric laughed again. Classic Liv. Lisa's tone turned sharper. Is this some game? You're always so cryptic. Just say what you did. Why can't you ever be normal? Normal. That word hit me harder than I expected. For years, I thought maybe if I tried hard enough, small talk, jokes, sitting quietly, I could pass for their version of normal. The kind of normal that made my achievements a threat. The kind that needed me small, so they could feel tall. I looked at Lisa and said, You know what's funny about normal? What? Normal people usually don't need to steal from their sisters to get promoted. Silence. Even the chewing stopped. Lisa blinked. What are you talking about? I wiped my mouth with the half napkin and stood up slowly. Nothing, just a thought. Keller was still staring at me. Not like before. Not confused, alert, calculating, remembering. I glanced at him just once, then stepped away from the table and walked toward the hallway. Lisa called after me, something like, Don't storm off, drama queen. But I wasn't listening. In the reflection of the hallway mirror, I could see them all, still seated, still unsure whether this was a performance or a warning. They didn't know, but soon they would. Lisa was telling some over-rehearsed story when we returned, something about a training seminar in San Diego where she had to take charge because her CO panicked. People nodded like it mattered. Keller pulled out my chair, the metal folding one, and gently replaced it with a cushioned dining seat. He didn't say anything, but everyone noticed. Lisa narrowed her eyes. So, she said, what were you two whispering about? Some big Navy secret? She laughed, but it came out stiff, dry. Keller didn't answer. He just resumed eating, but something had cracked. The table felt skewed, off balance. Everyone was watching us now, subtly at first, then more directly. Lisa tried to pull them back. Eric, she said, tell them the story about the rental car in Miami, the one with the possum in the trunk. He started to speak, but his eyes flicked to me, to Keller, to the growing gravity. I didn't move. I just listened. They couldn't fill the space anymore. The table shrank in on itself. Lisa tried again. You know, she said too brightly, Liv used to keep a diary when we were kids. She'd hide it under her mattress, wrote in it every day. She even gave herself a code name. What was it, like Shadowcat or something? Stormwatch, I said calmly. You read it enough times, you should remember. The room paused. Lisa blinked. Keller looked at her. You read her private journal? Lisa scoffed. We were kids. Siblings do that. No, I said. You read it in high school. You used it against me during college interviews. Wait. Keller looked between us. You applied to the same school? Lisa shifted uncomfortably. It's not a big deal. I got in. She didn't. That's all, May. That's not all, I said. You used my essays word for word, reworded just enough to get past plagiarism scans. You even quoted my volunteer work from a deployment I never told you about. Everyone stared at her. Even my mother lowered her glass. Lisa went pale. You're seriously bringing this up now? You brought it up when you invited me, I said. You just didn't know what you were really inviting. Silence. Then Keller stood. He walked around to my side of the table. "I have a question," he said to no one in particular. "Does anyone here actually know what Olivia did during her service?" "Of course," Lisa blurted. "She was in logistics, somewhere in admin, right?" My mother nodded. "She never told us much. Always so secretive. That's on her." Keller turned to me. "Permission?" I gave the faintest nod. He pulled out his phone, tapped a few times, and then he read, "Rear Admiral Olivia Moore, Commander of Naval Special Operations Unit Ghost Wind. Citation for Strategic Excellence, Arctic Front. Presidential Commendation for Operation Glass Echo. Navy Distinguished Service Medal." A gasp. My father leaned forward. "That's not possible." Lisa's mouth opened, then closed. My mother whispered, "Why didn't you ever say any of this?" I smiled, just a little. "Would you have believed me?" No one answered. Then Keller added, "I served under her. She's a legend." He looked at Lisa. "And you knew, didn't you?" Lisa stammered, "No, I suspected something. But she never confirmed it. I thought maybe—" "You accessed her classified file," Keller said, voice hard. "Used her reports. Took credit. That's not suspicion. That's theft." Eric whispered, "Wait, Lisa. Is that true?" Lisa stood abruptly. Her voice cracked. "She was never supposed to come tonight." And there it was, the moment when control slips. I leaned back, calm, centered. Lisa was unraveling. She pointed at me. "You don't get to play the victim after hiding everything for years. You let us believe lies." "No," I said quietly. "You told yourselves what you wanted to hear. I just stopped correcting you." The room was silent. Only the hum of the refrigerator filled the space between old truths and new shame. My father rubbed his temples like he was trying to erase the last 20 minutes. "You always had a sharp mind," he muttered, looking at Lisa. "But I never imagined you'd stoop to this." Lisa's voice cracked, defensive and small. "She didn't say anything. She never told us who she was. We just filled in the blanks." "You didn't fill them in," I said. "You carved them out, with intention." My mother finally spoke. "You could have told us." I laughed, just once. "Told you what?" "That I was promoted to Rear Admiral, while you still thought I was folding towels in a supply room? That I'd testified in closed-session Senate hearings while you handed out wine at Thanksgiving and said I probably filed paperwork in a trailer?" She opened her mouth to speak, then closed it. "I protected more than a dozen families by keeping secrets. I led missions you still don't have clearance to know about. But none of that hurt more than sitting at this very table and realizing that being invisible was the only way you'd let me exist." Nobody spoke. Keller cleared his throat. "I've already notified my CO about what I suspected," he said, looking directly at Lisa. "Given what's come to light tonight, a formal investigation will follow." Lisa's face turned white. "You're kidding." "I'm not," he said. "This goes beyond plagiarism. You compromised material that could have endangered lives." Eric stood abruptly and walked into the kitchen. I heard the sound of the fridge opening. He didn't come back. "I didn't mean to hurt anyone," Lisa whispered. "I just wanted to be seen." I stared at her for a long time, and "I know," I said. And somehow, that was the cruelest truth of all. Because I knew exactly what it felt like to want recognition, to ache for it. But I never stole it. I earned it, and I paid for it, every day. Keller turned to me. "You should report it yourself." I shook my head. "I'm done reporting things. Let the system take care of itself for once." He nodded, with respect in his eyes. "Then I'll see to it." Lisa sank into her chair, her entire body collapsing inward. My mother reached out a hand, tentative, but Lisa didn't take it. I moved to the hallway, but before I left, I turned back and said, "I never needed applause. I just needed the people who claimed to love me to stop stepping on my neck every time I stood tall." Then I walked out. No door slam, no final glare. Just the sound of footsteps. Mine, steady, firm, and never looking back. I glanced at the rearview mirror. The house sat behind me, lit like a stage after the curtain call. The show was over. The masks dropped. Everyone had seen what lay beneath. Part of me wondered what was happening inside. Was Lisa crying? Was my mother still in denial? Would Eric pretend it never happened? But I didn't care enough to turn back, because healing doesn't require an apology. It requires distance. A slow exhale left my lungs, one I hadn't realized I'd been holding for years. I remembered my first night at sea, 21 years old. Cold bunk, rough wind, the scent of salt and metal. I was scared. Not of war, not of orders, but of becoming someone no one at home would understand. And I did become her. And they didn't understand. But that was never my failure. I pulled out the old envelope from my glove box, the one with Grandma Jean's handwriting, the last letter she sent before she died. I hadn't opened it until tonight. I slid my thumb under the seal. Liv, I see you. I always did. You are thunder in a quiet form. Let them underestimate you. It gives you room to strike. You don't owe anyone your softness. You owe yourself the truth. And the truth is, you were born for more than small tables and hollow praise. Love, Grandma. Tears welled up, but they didn't fall, because for the first time in decades, I didn't feel broken. I felt whole. I folded the letter and placed it in the center console. Then I looked forward, not up at the stars, not down at the wheel, just straight ahead. And I whispered to no one and everyone, I was never lost, just uninvited. Then I turned the key and drove toward a future that, for once, had room for me in it.